Good morning, everybody. So glad to be here on another Thursday for another session of Stronger and Better. Today is a wonderful day. We got an exciting topic that's going to happen, and we have a wonderful special guest that's going to be with us today. So please, as you are coming in, say hello to me. Let me know that you're here. Say good morning. And also, please do a watch party. You'll see at the bottom of the screen my YouTube channel. So please make sure that you're going to the YouTube channel to go ahead and be part of one of our subscribers. Hit the subscribe button. Just don't go to the channel. Hit the subscribe button and make sure that you're linking in. So hopefully everybody's having a great day and everybody's doing well. And we see people coming in now. I'm trying to do my own watch party also. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Jet. How are you? So please have your friends join in, have everybody join in. Facebook has changed things in terms of watch parties for some reason. They don't allow you to do it like you used to do it. So y'all give me 1 second as I try to share this and copy this link to my other page, and we'll go from there. But hopefully, we're going to have a great conversation today. We have a relationship coach, and we have someone who has, a lot of experience in terms of talking about relationships. So I'm excited to have this conversation, excited to hear what everybody has to say. And please make sure that you interact with us, that you're sharing this and asking your questions and moving forward. For some reason, I can't figure out how to do the share right now to my other page. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We are live now. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Since we're running a little behind, I'm going to invite our guest in and say good morning to her. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm trying to share out myself. I'm trying to share out myself. So do I have a second to do that?
Yeah, go ahead, do it. Because it's
Okay.
crazy. I don't know why Facebook does not allow you to do watch parties anymore.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I was able to do one the other day, but it was like totally felt like it wasn't even like it wasn't the norm. It's definitely changed. You're right about that. I'm not sure what's going on with it.
I'm not sure either, but we have people coming in. They saying good morning, Classy Roxy. Good morning, Heather. Good morning. To my aunt is on here. Hey, good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Y'all, please make sure that y'all gonna share this this morning, and we're gonna give her a second to share it on her side also. Good morning, Adrian. Glad to see you all here this morning. Please make sure, like I said, please subscribe to my channel in terms of my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, and we want you to really be able to be blessed by some of the things that we're doing. And let me go ahead and introduce her. It's interesting. I don't even know how I ended up on your page, but when I say I was blessed by it, I was like, okay, I gotta, I gotta follow her. So I'll end up being on her page, and she is really a prophetic voice. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's a truly an influencer, and she's a writer and publisher, and she is a certified relationship coach. So on today, I'm excited to talk about what we call in real love. And are you really ready for true love? And I just want to first of all start. If you can just give us a little brief, tell us about yourself, tell us about your story, and how you got to where you are now.
Okay, well, good stuff. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on here, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I mean,
much.
call me
I'm
Leroy.
always, I'm sorry.
Call me Leroy. Everybody call me Leroy. You good?
Okay, well, how either way. So I always love having relationship conversations. One of my passions in this season of my life, and I say season because we all know that seasons shift and things change, and sometimes, I'm not sure where everybody is in their belief system, but sometimes God will have us in one vein, and sometimes He'll switch us to something different. So this is where I'm at now in the relationship space, and so I've been enjoying it. As you said, I am an ordained minister. I'm an author as well, best-selling author. I teach people how to write books. I have a publishing company. I host events around writing books, and also do women's events. Women's events is my passion. Working, helping women in the space of life, relationships. And just all the things that they're wanting to manifest in their life. So Um, yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. I have a radio show I host with co-host with Bishop Greg Davis, When the Right One Comes. We do a lot of relationship talks there. If you're in the clubhouse, we're doing relationship talks Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So yeah, that's just a little bit about, I don't know, it's an author, speaker, minister, do business events. Yeah, that's
All right,
pretty
that's
much me.
cool. Tell us a little bit about the book before we get into the other conversation. Tell us a little bit about your book and even tell people how they can get it.
Sure. So I have a few books. You can go to Amazon.com. I'm currently working on a relationship book. My first book, so was a book about my life. So I wrote my personal story. The second book I did was an anthology with myself and 27 other women, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And the last book is a novel. So it was one of my most favorite books to write because it had nothing to do with me. It was just all about, fun stuff and relationship stuff. So yeah, so you can go to Amazon to look those up. And then of course I'm working on a relationship book that has
Nice.
taken me more time than I intended. But it's coming. So yeah.
That's good. So, in terms of, you said one of the books is talking about your life, and I know sometimes you talk about how you were married,
Mhm.
and can you kind of just tell us, you know, how you've come from marriage to where you are now?
Sure. I don't know, that's kind of a big question, but so in terms of, being married, I was married 17 years, am currently divorced.
Yeah.
And really a lot of what I do, the work I do now really came from a failed marriage. And I don't like to use the word failed, but a marriage that didn't work, I'll say. But yeah, so basically, I was married 17 years, and it's so funny. I didn't even realize I was doing a conversation. I don't know if it was a Facebook Live or I was doing something, and I started to remember that in the last few years of my marriage, I started to write a book, helping men understand women. And I was actually writing it to my ex-husband at that time. I
Wow.
mean, it was subliminally, it's kind of like, I want
Right.
him to understand me,
Right. Right.
because sometimes you get to a place where you've been married for a long time and you feel like, I wonder why this person just doesn't seem to be understanding. And contrary to popular belief, women do not like quote unquote nagging, right? We don't
Right.
like
Right.
constantly having to say the same thing over and over and over. So I thought, what, rather than I keep having the same conversation, maybe I'll put it in a book.
Right.
And so really my passion for relationships started about the last 2 years of my marriage. And then I started talking more about relationships. And then after coming out of my divorce, talking more about it, people began to ask me questions. And so then I started doing more work in the relationship space, doing more lives, having conversations. God began to give me a passion for it. I began to just get different revelations and wisdom that was just kind of different than what I was seeing. And then I decided to get certified. And so now I'm doing master's classes and doing women's communities. And a lot of it is around the conversation of relationships.
Yeah. And so, I was married also, and
Mhm.
married for 10 years, well, 11 years, and I know after coming out of my marriage, um, there was a lot of brokenness. I think on both sides, and just dealing with a broken heart in terms of um, how to get through that process. And I want to talk about that a little bit in terms of um, as you were writing the book, and I'm sure you went through your own situations. How did you get through that brokenness or broken heart in terms of at least for me, I always thought I was going to be married forever.
Of course, we all do. Nobody goes in marriage looking to get divorced. So yeah.
Right, right. And it was one of those things where, I was hurt. I
Mhm.
was hurt. It didn't matter, what we were going through at home or, what the situation was. And, I had kids involved, 3 kids involved. And just dealing with that piece of brokenness. Um, how do you deal with that?
I mean, that's a big question. I think everybody's process is different. I
Yeah.
always tell people the first step you want to do is make sure that you have forgiven, because oftentimes when we go into marriage, and as you said, no one goes into it thinking, hey, one day I'm going to be divorced. You go into it thinking this is going to last a lifetime. And so we have our own ideas about what we are hoping for and what we desire. We have our own, and it may have nothing to do with our spouse. It's just all in our head about what marriage looks like to us.
Right.
And so when what it looked like to us didn't happen, there's a feeling of I failed, I messed up. Maybe I'll never, have a good relationship. We're angry with our ex-spouse. And so a lot of it is just really forgiving them, forgiving yourself, releasing yourself of the expectation of what you hoped would happen, and giving yourself permission to understand it's okay to love again. It's okay to desire relationship again. That one didn't work for whatever reason. And then also recognizing that people are where they are, right? Sometimes we get so upset because this person couldn't love us this way, they
Yeah.
couldn't do that, but that's all they had to give us.
Mm.
So it's like you got to release them of that. And they may have tried. I know my ex-husband tried at some points, but it
Yeah.
was just that's all he had to give me. And so we've got to be willing to, forgive people, release them, forgive ourselves, release ourselves, and then give ourselves permission to know that it's okay to love again. This doesn't have to be the death sentence. Even though death divorce is like death,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a continual death sentence. Like you can love again.
And that's good. And especially when we talk about forgiveness, and um, a lot of people don't know how to forgive,
Yes.
and we hold on to our baggage, we hold on to um, these things that we not only take from one relationship to the next relationship. How do you suggest you go through the process of forgiving somebody and releasing that baggage?
Well, number one, I think first of all, let yourself feel whatever you need to feel.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we think if we push it to the side, don't feel it, move on, somehow we're going to get over it. But the truth of the matter is, whatever we don't deal with, we don't really heal from. It's just that subconscious thing that stays in our mind, and we're still waiting for another person to do what the last person did to us. So, number one is just really allowing yourself to feel it,
Yeah.
allowing yourself to grieve whatever, because relationships ending are painful. So allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to cry, allowing yourself to feel it, whatever that process looks like for you. Now, I would say be careful because sometimes you can move into depression, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're grieving and it's healthy. You're releasing and it's healthy. And then there's different activities I do with my clients. But one of the things I tell people is, I'm doing something with some women I have a community, a women's community called the Esther Effect. And
Mhm.
one of the things we did at the top of the year is we started to detox. And so we were detoxing from old relationships, things that happened in our past. And we began to write down some things. But one of the most recent things in forgiveness is I had them write down every single person they needed to forgive and why they needed to forgive them. So you're writing down who you need to forgive and why you need to forgive them. And then the most recent activity that they're doing is they are now writing a letter to those people, telling them that they forgave them, why
Yeah.
they forgave them, and they're also thanking them for at least one thing, because we have to be honest, if we allowed someone in our lives, there was something that was good that come out of it. Even if it was just one thing.
You're right.
Even if it was just I'm gonna love myself better because they
You're right.
didn't love me. Whatever it was, there was something that came out of it. So forgive them, thank them for the experience, and release them. And so when we begin to do this type of work, it actually disconnects us. Not that you forget totally, I mean, that's not the goal, but that you're not carrying it around, even subconsciously. There is a neurologist, her name is Dr. Carolyn Lee, and she's a Christian neurologist. And she does a lot of her research linking it to how faith in the Bible works based on our brains. And
Right.
so, one of the things that she talks about, number one, we know that our thoughts is one of the number one things that leads to heart disease and a
Yeah.
lot of those stressors that we accumulate as a result of not dealing with certain things. But some of her research shows, and I wish I could think of the name of this thing, but when we don't forgive people, we actually stay connected to them. So there's a research that she did that a person in New York um, was they hadn't forgiven someone and they were thinking a thought about them. And literally, the thought that they were thinking, the other person who hadn't forgiven them felt something in their body.
Oh
So,
wow.
what the research shows
Wow.
is that we really are connected more than we realize when we don't let people out of our lives, when we don't release them. So, that work is necessary. If you are desiring to have a good relationship in the future, if you are desiring to have love in the future, it's very important for yourself that you begin to forgive people and forgive yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're talking about because I had a conversation yesterday with somebody who didn't really understand even soul ties.
Mm-hmm.
And how soul ties kind of um, affect. It can even affect your next relationship. So moving forward, and a lot of people can't understand why they feel bound by people, why they are so connected to people through these soul ties. And I like what you said, in terms of talking about the detox and really releasing yourself. So I don't know if you can kind of even talk about the soul tie piece of that, in terms of detoxing or releasing yourself from that kind of connection.
I mean, without going so deep in spiritual, because there's so many trains of thoughts on that. We do know in the Bible that the only place we really can find a soul tie connection is David and Jonathan. And the Bible says he loved him as his own soul.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so we do know that that was a deeper connection. So we do know that it's not always sexual. People will always say, well, if you have sex, it's soul tie, and they're not married, or even if you are married, I mean, obviously it's a soul tie. But
Yeah.
it's if you are exchanging, and I say life force with someone, meaning you're spending time on the phone, you're spending time in each other's presence, you're getting to know each other, you're sharing affections, you are intertwining your life with another person. And I don't think we understand how time is one of our most important commodities when we're developing relationships. So you can begin to spend time with someone, and someone was telling me lately, and I haven't researched it, but they were telling me there's called a law of entanglement.
Mm,
um, and
yeah.
so, yeah, it's a law.
Yeah.
And I need to research. I haven't yet, but so I won't go deep there. But what
Right.
they were explaining to me about the law of entanglement is the more you spend time with someone, the more you are engaged with someone, you're entangling your life with them. And so once something ends, now you've got to do the unraveling of that entanglement, of that soul tie, that connection. And so you just have to be careful who you're spending time with, not even if it's sexual, but just making sure that as you are, moving out of a relationship, that you are taking the time to allow yourself to be disconnected from, that entanglement, that relationship, or whatever you all shared, in the intimacy space. So, yeah, soul ties are a real thing. You can call it the law of entanglement, whatever you want to call it. It's a real thing. And you definitely want to make sure this is what I also say. In relationships, we imprint on each other. And so I'm literally, if I'm in a relationship with someone and they've imprinted on me, I'm literally going to, unless I do the work to disconnect, unless I do the work to heal, I'm literally going to take parts of what that person taught me in relationship, parts of their expectations, parts of who I was, parts of what they wanted, and I'm going to put it into another relationship
Yeah.
because I haven't untangled myself. I haven't done the work to pull out of that connection. So yeah, it's very important that we do take time to, detox, heal, untangle ourselves, so that we can be prepared for whatever's next for us. Even if it's that you desire to be, I did a master's class with Bishop Greg Davis, and he talks about being a good single. Even
Yeah.
if your desire is, I don't want to be married right now. I just want to work on me. I want to work on my business. I want to grow and heal. Even in that, you still want to make sure that you are the owner of your own soul. And as long as we've given ourselves out in different relationships, we don't own our soul. And you can tell who doesn't own their own soul based on the baggage they're still carrying from past relationships. Your soul is somewhere else. It belongs to someone else. So yeah, we've got to do that work.
I had to write that one down. The owner of your own soul. I never heard that before. I like that, and because we are responsible for ourselves in terms of making sure that we are in a healthy place. So, and that brings me into, in relationship, right? You're going through these relationships, you got these soul ties, you got this and that, these relationship ties, the imprinting of, relationships on you. And then you go through this detox process, right?
Yeah.
And you releasing yourself from it. And I even like the idea about, writing the letter and thanking them for what they did and
Mhm.
releasing them from the pain that you had. Now at the same time, okay, so once we get past that detox, how do I make myself whole? How do I really develop who I am? I was watching one of your shows, and y'all please support her and go back to her page because she has some great stuff. So she was talking, you was in the kitchen and
Uh-huh.
you were having your kitchen talk, and you was talking about even your imperfections and how even though we're in this process of making ourselves whole, there are some imperfections about me.
Mhm.
And even jumping into a relationship, before you jump into a relationship, is realizing, I started thinking about, I had to realize, or you should realize, even your own imperfections so you can change it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you could just talk about that process of making yourself whole and really developing who you are.
For sure. And let me say this, the letter you may never mail out to the person you're writing it for. I want to say that too, because I don't want people to think, oh, I got to mail all these letters. No,
Yeah, please.
it's really just for
Some,
you.
some people you don't need to communicate back with.
You don't. They will be like, what? I don't even, what are you
Right,
doing?
know what you talk about. Right.
And that's the thing. Sometimes we're holding on to stuff. People have moved on. So,
Right.
so yeah, with the wholeness piece, really all of this adds up to that. The writing the letters, the detoxing, the forgiveness, the taking time to heal. I literally tell people, and I've done this myself. Sometimes you just got to take the time away from just dating and hearing another person in your ear and hearing what they want and what they like. And sometimes even I'll even take a break from just in general. I'll take time from everybody. I mean, of course I have children, so they're still in my world, but outside of that, sometimes I just take a break just to just check in with me, to see where I am.
Can I stop
Because
you right there?
ultimately, I'm
Can I
sorry.
stop? Can I stop you right there?
Sure.
Because I ask a question. How do you know when you're at that point where you need to take a break?
Well, I think sometimes just, if you are a person where you're noticing that a lot of the rhetoric and the way you feel and the things you're saying is just negative, about relationships. Like you have nothing good to say about. And here's the issue that I find is so interesting. People will post all day long about how men are this and women are that and all this hate stuff that we say is jokes, but it's really rude, crude humor,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And forgive me for saying this. I'm gonna be a little deep here. Why the hell are you still in the dating space?
yeah. You're right.
Like you're bitter,
Yeah,
you're angry,
yeah,
and you're no good for anyone, not even yourself right now.
yeah. You're right.
How you see the opposites. If you don't look at the opposite sex and you desire a relationship with them,
Yeah,
and you don't find value in, if I don't find value in men, I should just take a break.
right.
Right? If you don't see value in women and the beauty, even in all of our imperfections and
Yeah,
all of the mistakes that, women we bring, or we're emotional, and men, sometimes women say men are unemotionally available.
yeah.
Whatever your issues are, if you cannot still come away from the table and say, but I really value who men are. I really respect who men are. I
Yeah,
really value women. I really respect women. If you can't pull back from the table and see what's valuable about them and celebrate them and love them, you have no business being involved with them.
that's true.
So if
That's
you
true.
notice that all of your words as you sitting around with your girlfriends, girl, all men are dogs. Well, what the heck are you doing? Are
Right.
you want to be a dog trainer? I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you're, all women are hoes or this or that, well, then
yeah,
what are you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like we've got to begin to listen to ourselves. What are we saying? Locate ourselves. If we realize our feelings and our words are all negative, pull back, take a break. This may not be the season for you to be in relationship. This may not be, and I'm talking about at any level. You might
Yeah.
just need to only talk to your mama, and that's it. You know
Right.
what
Right.
I mean? I'm just saying. Maybe that's the only woman a man can handle talking to right now,
Yeah.
or your daughter. But
Yeah.
women, same thing with women. If you are so angry with the men, you just might need to take a break. So I would say locate what you're saying, locate your feelings, and if you realize it's all negative, it's probably time to just take a break and figure some things out.
That's good. That's good. So I'm sorry I had interrupted you
No, you're fine.
on the piece of getting whole.
Yeah.
So all right. So we know that you're saying you need to take your break. You might need to take a break and really, you know, analyze what you're doing. You
hmm
know, what's your part in it. So what would be the next steps in terms of becoming whole?
Yeah. So again, just the whole detoxing work, the forgiveness work, the healing work, all of those things are leading up to wholeness because what you're going to find when and I don't know what people's belief system is. I'm a Christian. So for me, I'm always, getting with my father. And because there are going to be areas that, if we're honest with ourselves, we're going to need additional help outside of ourselves. And sometimes that's for people counseling. I've done counseling before. Getting a therapist. Sometimes it's going
Yeah.
to be that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to be you having a relationship coach.
Yeah.
I have people that that coach me through things. I have a spiritual father, and he, definitely coaches me through different relationship things. But then I also get with my father, my heavenly father, and I allow him to go to those places that maybe I haven't located yet, or maybe I'm still figuring out. But he made me, he knows me, he's designed me,
Yeah.
um, and he knows me better than I know myself. So I'm constantly, for me, the wholeness piece is something I don't think that we ever come out of. I think it's something that we're always constantly making sure. I read books,
That's good. Yeah.
so I think it's something that we're always having to make sure that we are being mindful of, especially as you're engaging in different relationships, because it can deplete you,
Yeah.
if you're not fortifying yourself with wholeness and healing. And I also make sure that I'm having conversations that grow me,
Yeah.
in the relationship space. This is why I love the work I get to do, because I'm constantly able to have conversations about this topic from a healthy place. I'm never going to be the person that's gonna, spew out all the bitter stuff that we see people talk. I'm just not that girl. I've never been that girl, and I don't like to define my life based on people's status quo. Like just because that's your experience doesn't mean it belongs to me. So I'm always mindful that even statistics, I'm always mindful that those people were interviewed, it wasn't me. So that's
Yeah.
not my statistic,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm always mindful that I am not bound as a spiritual being, I'm not bound by the laws of this world. I'm just not. And so I won't allow myself to be stuck in any place that people say, well, women are supposed to live like this, women are supposed to have that, or
Yeah.
men are supposed to do this, or if you're divorced, that's going to be your experience. I've
Yeah.
never lived my life that way, and I won't in the relationship space.
And we can't. Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right with that. I guess the question comes to how do you know when you're ready and to move forward to get back into a relationship or start developing your dating scene. What is that like? What?
Yeah, the dating scene, that's funny. So yeah, again, just making sure that if you know you're in a healthy place to receive
Yeah.
someone, right? Because that's where we have to make sure that we're ready. Am I ready to receive love? Am I still in a place where even healthy love makes me suspicious? Or
Wow.
even somebody being kind to me, like, why are you being nice?
That's deep. Yeah.
That's an issue,
That's
right?
it.
If you're in a place where even, because, and let me say this, because of the way I show up in all of my relationships, my friendships, I'm a giver, I'm a lover. And being this way, you get to see so many variations of the human experience. And most people have difficulty with genuine love. They do. And so, because of that, I tell people you might want to just do some work. You might want to just get some more healing.
Yeah.
So when you recognize and when you haven't forgiven your ex, if you are still mad at your ex, still angry with your ex, still blaming your ex, you're not ready. because you're going to put that messaging on the next person,
Yeah.
even if they're a great person, because you haven't forgiven the last person. If you haven't forgiven yourself, if you haven't released yourself from that last relationship, you're not ready. If all you talk about when you start talking to a new person, oh, my ex was this and my ex was that, they're gonna be like, why you ain't with your ex still? You're not ready.
Yeah.
But if you're, most importantly, I would say, if you're not ready to receive healthy, whole love, if for you love looks like drama, it looks like arguing, it looks like chaos, you're not ready. So those are some indicators of, if you're ready, if you have great things to say about your ex, even though they weren't perfect. Well, you weren't perfect either, obviously.
Right. Right.
But you have great things to say about them. You're willing to send them kind prayers, not the prayers, I hope they fall off a bus or over a bridge or
Yeah.
by a tree, but you really hear yourself having a healthy dialogue about your ex, even in your head. Um, if you are ready to receive healthy love, if you're ready to give it, can you give healthy, whole love? If you
Yeah.
can't, you're not ready. So those are some indications that you're ready.
So we call this real love, right?
Uh-huh.
So what is real love? Because I've had conversations with people that even question if they've ever experienced love.
Right.
So, what does real love look like in terms of relationship, and how do I identify it as, you know, okay, this is it. This is what genuine love is supposed to feel like.
So the issue has been, if we're honest with ourselves, Leroy, is everybody has not experienced what I call being loved well.
Yeah,
They haven't,
that's true.
even from their childhood. So
Yeah.
there's no measuring stick. There
Mhm.
is no measuring stick to say, oh, this is healthy, this is good, this is whole, this is what it should
Yeah.
feel like. And I've got to be so thankful to God because I have experienced that. I know what being loved well looks like.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but well.
Yeah.
I know what it means to love people well. Not perfect, but well.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the first issues that people have to begin to address and begin to look for is, what does it mean to be loved well? And if you've never experienced it, then begin to look for it. Begin to ask, if whether it's God or whatever your belief system is, to show you what that looks like. So that may mean you may have to see it on TV sometimes. You
Yeah.
may have to hear it from a friend. Maybe you have a girlfriend or guy friend who tells you about this amazing experience. But ask God to show you, what does that look like to be
Yeah.
loved well?
Yeah.
And and I just believe that it's going to come to you. That answer is going to come to you. And when it comes to you, that's an opportunity for you to now create and design for yourself what that now looks like for you, um, to be loved well and to love someone well. And I even tell people, write it out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The Bible says, write the vision, make it,
Yeah.
in every space of our lives, we write our business goals, our weight loss goals, but we don't often write, what is our relationship goals?
Yeah.
Write down, what does a healthy, beautiful relationship look like to you? And begin to read it, begin to go over it, begin to meditate on it.
Yeah.
Get scriptures to back it up if you want, but create for yourself. I'm just not a person who just lets my life design itself. I'm gonna design my own life.
That's
I'm gonna put the
yeah.
furniture I want in my own life. I'm
That's
gonna
good.
create the walls for my own life. And I'm not telling you something that I heard about. I'm telling you something I live.
Yeah.
And so it's possible. And let me say this, sometimes in receiving that type of love, it may take a little time. It may not be something that you're just jumping in and out of this relationship, that relationship, moving on to this person, that person. But if you're willing to do the work, I promise you, you're not only going to experience it, but before it comes, you'll see fruit of it. You'll
Yeah.
begin to say, oh, wow, this person was like that. And
Yeah.
maybe that wasn't the person, but it's preparing you for the one that's going to come. So even look at what you're attracting. If the type of people you are attracting are chaotic, they're drama, they're broken, they're this, it's a mirror of your own self. We don't want to admit that, but
Yeah.
that's your mirror.
That's
So
good.
if that's what's coming to you, chances are I'm not going to say chances are. It's actually what's in you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever you are, whatever you think is what you are, and what you are is what comes to you, and what you attract.
That's good. That's good. I like what you said. We plan everything else out.
Yeah.
Where we want to be in life, where we want to go, we want to. But a lot of us do not plan our relationships out and really plan. What the way we want to see our relationships. So that's good. Now we had a question that came in. It was a private question that came in. So I'm gonna throw it out here. It says, I've been dating this guy for 1 year. We had a pretty solid year. We're friends as well as lovers. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it's good. I see myself with him long term and eventually would love to be his wife. He's met my mom, siblings, and kids. They all love us, but I haven't met either of his parents. It bothers me and it makes me feel like I'm not the sparkle for him, not the one. I mentioned it and he said it was overdue for me to meet them, yet it's been at least 4 months and still no introduction. Then it says it's becoming a deal breaker for me. If I'm not being looked at for the long run, then maybe I should bow out. So the question is that a sign that I'm not the one? I am wasting my time. He's enjoying me, but I'm not for the future.
That's a very good question because I do know you're a man, so you know this as well. When a man wants you in his world, he brings you into his world.
Yeah.
You're gonna meet the parents, you're gonna meet the, family. You're gonna be a part of his world. So that is a good question. I don't know how much conversation they've had about it,
Hmm.
but here's what I would tell her: is have the conversation if you haven't. Let him know where you are about it. If this is a deal breaker for you for whatever reason, it's not up for me to tell you it should or shouldn't be. If that's how you feel, I will not take your feelings from you. For whatever reason that's important to you. And so I would have that conversation of just, where do you see us? You've met my family, and I feel like we're at a point where I should be able to meet your family. If you don't see me in your future, and I would even say this is how I feel about you. I do want you in my future. It's okay to be vulnerable. We don't want to do that, but it's okay. I do see you in my future. I do want us to be long term. Now I want you to see me the same way. If you don't, I respect that. And I'll have to make some decisions based on what you're sharing with me. And I would just have that conversation. And then you have to be willing to decide what you're going to do next based on the answer. And you can't try to force or manipulate your way into what you desire. If they don't want you in that place, they don't want you in that place. And you have to be okay with that. So that would be my answer to her. Have that conversation, tell them how you feel, be vulnerable, tell him
Yeah,
what you'd like for it to be. And if he doesn't, then that's, now you have to make your next decision based on the answer.
yeah, because I guess in this situation, it's been 4 months and they had the conversation. It's been 4 months and he still hasn't, you know, made the move, which is kind of interesting. So I think they do need to have that conversation and really, all right, it's 4 months. What's the deal? Either we're gonna do this or not.
And it doesn't
And
have to be even, I even say this, Leroy, because
yeah,
in talking to men, and you're a man, you have an ego, you want to make sure you're honoring that. So it's not one of those things where, because that'll close a man up. If you like, we're gonna do this or not. I mean, he's gonna be like, we're not. Even if he wanted to.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because the man in him is like, you're not gonna tell me, you're not my mama. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So just being mindful and honorable to who he is as a man, as a
yeah,
person. So share with him your feeling. Because here's the thing, even though it's your feelings, and even though it may be right or wrong, to him it may be no big deal. You know what
yeah.
I mean? He may
True.
not even be that close to his parents to even want you to be in there, to even want you to meet them that way. I don't know. So I'm saying rather than coming into it with a hostile feeling, come into it neutral. Come into it that you're just really trying to understand. Why has this been held up for 4 months? And more than anything, what her end goal is do you see me in your future? So it's not really so much about these little, meeting the parents and all these things that add up to that. For her, she wants to know, do you see me in your future? And for her, that means And oftentimes it does, so rightfully so that she feels this way. Oftentimes a man will bring you into his world.
Yeah.
You don't want to force your way in there though. And if it's something that he does not want and he's not ready for it, if that's a deal breaker for you, you got to
Yeah.
tell him that.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's real good. So, but that brings me to the point what we was kind of previously talking about, even with some of the imperfections that people bring into relationships, and how do you deal with those imperfections? So if he doesn't have the family, or he's not comfortable, or even the way he interacts with her, his actions or his behaviors, how do you work those things out?
I think because we all have you know, parts of our personality that are interesting. We all do. And so one of the things I think that's most important is realizing what is your capacity to handle another person's, you know, idiosyncrasies or weird little things we have or whatever. It's just your capacity. There are certain things that are, like for me, I'll just say I'm very big before even, the pandemic, I'm very big on hand washing. I'm very big on hand sanitizer. There are some people that's like, oh my God, you're a germaphobe. Okay, fine. That might be what it is.
Right,
I'm
right,
okay with that. I've accepted it about myself. If
right.
that bothers you, then I'm probably not like that's just a part of my personality. I'm not trying to change that. If
Yeah.
that's a big deal for you, then I'm probably not the person that if you have an issue with washing your hands before you eat, that's gonna gross me.
Right.
And I'm just saying that's
That's
basic, but I'm just
good.
saying that everybody has something. So I think it's just you being comfortable. What is your capacity to deal with another person's idiosyncrasies? Because even in that, you have them too. Like we all have them. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So that
Absolutely.
means somebody's dealing with yours and you're dealing with theirs. And so what is your capacity to deal with that? That would be the question I would say. We all have something. Now, if it's like stuff that's, like you cuss people out or you're disrespectful or you're rude, well, nobody has to sign up for that because that's now
Yeah.
something that's going to be hurtful to me. I'm not interested. And you need to work on that. But, so I'm saying there are certain things that are just basic, you know, things that everybody has that's our own little deal that shouldn't be a deal breaker. But then there are things that I'm just not willing, like I'm not willing to change my faith for anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not really interested in somebody with a different faith than me because I don't know that we would have, it's such a big part of who I am. I don't know where we would have compatibility in that space. I love to work out. I don't think I don't know that I want someone who they just don't work out. They're just not into a healthy lifestyle. I would want someone who, because I'm going to say, hey, go to the gym. Let's go to the gym together. At some point, that's going to feel like nagging because that's not a part of their world.
Their life, right?
You know what I mean? Or even if we're just going for a walk together. I like to eat healthy. I mean, I don't eat perfect, but I like healthy food. I like salads and fruits and vegetables, and I'm not a huge meat eater. Not saying I would not. I'll prepare whatever my man wants because
Right.
food is one thing, but I'm not going to be making you a bunch of fried chicken every Friday night, or a bunch of fried pork chops, or
Right, right.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying all that to say that I guess we have to figure out, what's our capacity, know that everything is not a deal breaker, but there are some things that are. So recognize for you what's a deal breaker, and what is your capacity for another imperfect human being. Now, if a man leaves up the toilet seat all the time, I'm not so much bothered by that because we can work on that. That's not a deal breaker. But I'm just saying you got to figure out for you and be honest with yourself and don't try to force someone into something for you that's a deal breaker. If
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
someone that working out is important to you and the person you're with, and forgive me, they're, massively overweight, no judgment. I'm just saying if that's what you're
Yeah.
asking for, and you
Yeah.
bring someone in the world and they're massively overweight and they don't ever want to work out, you're going to spend your whole relationship like, hey, let's go to the gym. Hey, eat better. Now you're nagging. Now that's friction in the relationship.
Yeah.
Now it's going to create issues and it's not going to work. So rather than setting yourself up for failure, it's best to set yourself up for success. And you do that by making sure that the person you're going to be engaged with that there's a level of compatibility, that we have similar interests, that we enjoy similar things, and not trying to make something work that's just probably not going to.
Well, one of the last questions I'm gonna ask in terms of compatibility and really um, finding the one that you should be with, and I think you do see some flaws in people because you have your own.
Yeah,
And how far should you go to? Um, well, you can't change nobody. But
of course.
how far should you go in terms of a relationship and understanding um, how much you can really deal with, and how much are you willing to invest in the relationship um, to hopefully convince them to do better?
Are we convincing people to do better?
Because why I say that, I think some people, you know, uh, they like the person, they get engaged, in terms of having a good relationship, and but they see things that I don't know if I can deal with it. Hopefully, that person's going to change. I come to realize that people are just who they are, and you can't change anybody, not unless they want to change for themselves. So when I say convince, maybe introducing like you were saying, maybe the gym, or introducing healthier eating, or all right, babe, we need to go to church, a little more, or seeking God. So how far into that should you go before this not going anywhere? I know that's a loaded question, but
I'm just not a I personally, I would not tell someone to focus on convincing anyone of anything.
yeah,
You know, most people that I talk with, and even in the coaching space, even people that hit 25 in their 20s, I mean,
yeah,
people are who they are.
yeah,
I'm not saying that I'm a person. I'm constantly on space of evolving and growing, and I would want someone an evolver and a grower as well. You're not going to like me if my ex-husband, I mean, that was something that was hard. I was never just stuck being one way.
yeah,
I'm constantly changing. And you're not going to like me if that's not your growth track. You won't enjoy me. And so, since relationships they're about many things, but it's important that we enjoy the person we're with.
yeah,
Not that we'll enjoy everything about them, but that we enjoy them. So, if I'm already coming in at a deficit of let me convince them to change, you're now working on an uphill battle because this person's like, listen, I'm 25, 35, 45, 55, whatever.
yeah,
I like me.
yeah,
I've grown myself to this place. So if you're trying to convince me to be something else than what I am, then you probably don't like me. And
yeah.
this probably will not be a good fit. So rather than us trying to convince someone to be something they're not, how unfair is that? That is so unfair.
It's unfair.
To
Yeah,
come into someone's life and say, I want to convince you to change.
right.
And whatever they're doing, it's not like I'll say this. I would hope they're not alcoholics or abusing drugs or beating people up or, those things. Even in that,
Yeah,
that's their own growth track. That has nothing to do with me at all.
yeah,
Like that's your own growth track. Now, if I love you, I'm gonna say, hey, if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you what I think. I'm never gonna lie if you ask me a question. But I don't get involved in grown people's lives
yeah,
unless you ask me. It's not my business. So we've got to get off this thing that we're supposed to change people, fix people. And
that's
I
right.
get it. I'm a helper. That's my personality. I'm a helper. I want to help people. But I'm still not, and I'll do it from a public platform. I'll do it from a Facebook or from a stage. I'm not going to jump into people's individual lives if they have not invited me in and say change.
Yeah,
Now you're disrupting something that really is probably just between them and God.
yeah,
Not only that, you getting involved because all of us want to be the owners of our own lives, it's going to make me hold on to it even more.
that's right. Yeah,
Because who are you to tell me I need to change? Well, look at you. Look at
yeah,
me. Look at you. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So I just don't believe if you are in a relationship with someone and you don't like what you see about them, the best thing you can do is excuse yourself
That's good.
and
Yeah.
believe God or whatever your faith is, that there will be someone that you will find in relationship. And let me say this, because I'm saying this from a place of this is my life.
Yeah.
The people that I attract, even if it's just in friendship space, there's so many compatibilities, so many. So now you get to a place where you're trying to decide, okay, who is a good fit? That's what you want for your life.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're a person that you're always looking to change people, guess what? You're always going to attract people you have to change.
Yeah.
If you are a person that you're looking for people that you can enjoy, I want to enjoy being in relationship with people, from
Yeah.
my children to my mama to everybody. I want to enjoy people. And so since I come from that place of being non-judgmental, of accepting you where you are, but deciding for myself how deep I walk with you in a space, I enjoy my relationships. And when I no longer enjoy them, you're probably going to move into a different location in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not being mean, but it's not going to be a productive relationship if we can't enjoy each other.
That's good. That's good. That was great. That was great. So, we're approaching 12 o'clock, approaching our hour. And, this was a wonderful conversation. I want you, please, just tell them the name of your book and how they can support your book and how they can uh, and follow you and get in contact with you if you like. And just share that with them real quick.
Sure. So more than my book is And She Laughed, the most recent book. But more than that, again, you can go to Amazon for that. But more than that, I'm working on another relationship book, or my first actual relationship book. Thank you, Teresa. I see you in the comments. She's one of my Esther queens in my community.
Okay.
More than that, I always like to tell women about the Esther Effect community that I am hosting. It's an online women's community where we meet every week, and we have prayer every Saturday. And it's just been such a great space for women to develop sisterhood, to grow in community, and to heal, to prepare for the next phase of our life. So you can go to my website, aneshasharp.com, to learn more about that, and go to events and programs to learn more. I'll put that in the comments to learn more about that. And I'm all over social media. So if you have questions for me, I'm in the comments. You can go follow me on Facebook, message me with any questions you have. I'm on social media I'm sorry, Facebook as Anesha Alexandria, but I'm all over other areas, Instagram, Twitter, the Clubhouse as Anesha Sharp. So you can connect with me there.
So make sure you guys please follow her. Make sure you're supporting her. She has a wonderful ministry. I told you she was gonna, throw out some great nuggets today. So I'm glad you was able. And I have to have you back because I want to get really into some of the. I know we did kind of a broad discussion today, but I want to get into some of the deep issues of relationship and really finding true love. So thank everybody for joining us today for another session of Stronger and Better. Please, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you support her and the ministry that she's doing. And I just want to say thank you again for being my guest. I appreciate you. This has been great. I love all of you, and I'll see you next week. God bless you.